My name is Holly Clintworth and I'm the head distiller and managing director at Bass Flinders Distillery, located on the picturesque Mornington Peninsula. So Bass Flinders was established over 10 years ago now, in 2009, by my father Wayne. And we were very much inspired by our local region, so surrounded by vineyards on the peninsula. We wanted to basically create the peninsula's first distillery using local produce and turning that into a local spirit. So we make grape-based gins, brandies and liqueurs. Because we've been very much inspired by our local region, we source as much produce locally as possible. We make a aged fine brandy called Ochre. We make over 10 different gins, and each of them have very different personalities, all very specific for certain types of classic gin cocktails. So we have our single vineyard gins, which we make from 100% Shiraz wine that we source from central Victoria. We do a traditional Charentais double distillation method to make the grape-based spirit from scratch, and then we vapor infuse those gins with botanicals ranging from local through to Australian, and some also imported as well. My go-to gin for a gin and tonic would probably be the Maritime Gin. So I created the Maritime Gin as an ode to the Mornington Peninsula. It's got flavours from the ocean, flavours from the bush and flavours from the vineyard. So it's got this beautiful ocean sea breeze to it. It's quite savoury and it's quite salty. So if you order a gin and tonic with our Maritime Gin, it's quite a surprise. You don't normally get a salty savoury gin for a gin and tonic, but it's a beautiful one. And if you wanted to just rim the glass with some lemon myrtle salt and garnish it with dehydrated lemon and saltbush, it makes a beautiful gin and tonic. Gin straight up on the rocks, from our range, all of our gins are great, neat, and that's because we make that base spirit from scratch using wine, and so we call our gins Sippin Gins. They're very, very easy and very smooth and viscous style of gin, quite a beautiful smooth texture to our gins, so any of them really, but when you're sipping gin neat, I would recommend the way to go about that. You first have a smell of the aromas, keep your mouth open a little bit when you're breathing in the aromas, and that actually opens up some of the aroma to your palate. And then when you have a sip of that gin neat, it's really great to kind of roll it around your tongue so that you can get the full taste receptors and gauge all the beautiful botanicals around your palate. And then once you swallow the gin, you can breathe out, and depending on how hard you breathe out, you can get rid of some of the burn that way when you sip neat. And it's a great way to start to get to know a gin by trying it neat first before you decide what cocktail to put it in. A gin cocktail that I love that I think is probably not as well known as it potentially should be, I would probably say the French 75. We usually use our Monsoon Gin for the French 75. That Monsoon Gin has lemongrass, ginger and ginseng flavours, so it's quite a beautiful twist on your classic French 75. French 75 has lemon juice, gin, sugar syrup. You shake them all together and then you top up your champagne flute with some sparkling. We use local sparkling from Crittenden Estate. The reason I love the French 75, firstly, a lot of people don't actually know this, but traditionally it was actually made with brandy and sparkling, and I just find it a really beautiful, refreshing cocktail. Bass Flinders is located just 1 hour south of Melbourne, and we've got our distillery door there where you can come and you can have a look around where our products are made. You can taste our different gins, brandies and liqueurs. We do gin paddles, we do tastings, cocktails, grazing platters. We also do different masterclasses, so we do a cocktail masterclass, we do a gin masterclass where you can learn the history and the production methods behind gin, and also make your own bottle of gin to walk away with.